There we are, guys. We are live. I hope you guys are well and everything is good. Let me know about all the technicalities starting the stream. First time here, so try to set up everything to best of my knowledge. Put my Hawaii shirt on. It's actually from Hawaii. Really love that. I thought it fits the theme. And we got a few things going on. I'm appreciative of the time. Everybody showed up. It's really amazing. I got a lot of questions actually, so I thought as a loose layup to get started, you know, like how could we structure this thing? We can basically do anything we want with this, right? I think I'm gonna keep this at 15, maximum 30 minutes. I don't wanna, go too long, but this video will be live after it goes down, it's YouTube, it just stays on YouTube, but you can watch it again afterwards. So I got a few questions here from a few guys, but I thought what we do first, I thought you guys already wrote a little bit here in the chat, which is cool. But I thought what we do, that we kind of start the stream like that. So we go through our training from the last week, a little bit my learnings. I do some things on YouTube, but not 100% everything. But I thought that's what we're gonna do first. You guys let me know what you think about that. Damn, it's awkward to talk live. Holy cow, this is weird. But I'm gonna give my best, guys. So it can only get better from here. So let's see what we can do. All right. Quickfire. We got a quickfire coming in there. So we got Alex in the chat. We got Mika. We got Matthias. We got Jyrki. Quickfire. Cycling versus running. Somebody says. Matthias. What do you mean by that? I think the delay is pretty good. Threshold versus aerobic. Aerobic for me every day of the week. Threshold, that's a difficult topic with me because I actually do more sweet spot and that kind of stuff, or high end. So, but it's a long topic to go into my training there. Okay, I see we're going to training, right? So into questions. So we just do a few of the questions in the chat here. So Ben has been asking, how's the VO2 max training helped? For me, it's been a game changer actually recently because I fell a bit into the trap. Not trap per se, but when I started in the sport, when I started out in, 2010, 2011, I did all this high-end work as well, like typical, 30-second stuff, really pushing the pedals without data, anything like that. But then, come this whole thing with like, lactate and aerobic and all those things for like 6-7 years actually. I did no intensity higher than maximum threshold. And that, to be honest, killed my top end. And what it actually did to me is it became very good aerobically, which is of course is good, but you can't do that forever, right? You have basically, I was thinking about it as well, you have basically 4 levers you kind of have in the sport of triathlon. So you first have VO2 max and VLMX. VO2 max is the maximum oxygen uptake that everybody knows. And then a VLMX, which is not the right word, but you can say it's fat burning basically, which is not glycolytic power, but I don't want to get too confusing here. VO2 max, VLMX, then I believe muscular endurance and muscular strength is its own pillar. And then we have the mind and the psychology factor, especially in long distance triathlon, huge. And for me, VO2 max training has been an absolute game changer. And even things like I've been doing the 50s in a swim as you go. Guys know I've been doing those for 2-3 months more. And I feel like I'm not even near let's say stagnating, not in the session itself, but what it does to my aerobic pace, for example. It just keeps lifting, keeps getting easier, because it's very simple. It's the same principle as the gym, basically. When you think about it, you lift a lot of weight. Let's say you put, you put a bar in front of you and put 20 kilos on top, right? And let's say this is super hard. After that, 10 kilos are just gonna feel very, very easy. It's just, there's a lot more behind it than just the physiology. But I find it's genius and But I would say, before we go further with questions, let's first have a brief look at my training. Then we can jump over the next page here. All right, so in theory, you guys should see, looking pretty good. Okay, so we got my training plan here. I would say, because it's been a lot of training, and let's just say, let's go, because I do 10-day blocks, which is also new. That's one of the few things I changed from, as some of you guys know, I've been struggling with consistency, getting sick, mainly sickness, never orthopedic stuff in the last 12 years, except for like maybe 1 or 2 days. So that's my blessing, but I think that's not purely coincidence. Gym work and just robustness of the body itself. But I've been doing gym since I'm 17, and that for sure plays a role. The foundation is there. And the background as physio, I don't do stupid stuff per se. Although I do like to smash it in training. But let's have a look back. So I have always 10-day rhythm. Let's start at day 1. I'll make the notes here. So let's see, block 3. So I did, this is 3 blocks. So 3 times 10 days. I'm now at the end of my 3rd block. As you can see, that was today. But let's start with day 1. So what I started doing, so I basically have 2 high-end days. So I have day 1, high-end swim. So this is this one here. This is a high-end swim. There I started actually going in longer reps, because when you think at the beginning of the block, I'm still neuromuscularly quite fresh. So for example, I decided to go there a bit longer distance instead of just doing the 50s, because yeah, you also want to progress over time. But so there I started doing the 100s the first time, which I was over the moon with, that I actually hit those times that I delusional myself started setting 2 months ago. I hit those 105, 106 long course meters, something I never did in my life. Aerobic run is always in the middle, some of you guys know. Then the high end stuff. Here, let's have a look at this one. My high end bike, there I actually really struggled. And I know now why. That was actually a saddle, because I did a saddle change. Yeah, changed back, found another saddle now, and power is back, and I'm feeling amazing. But so there, the main set is basically 2 minutes, and it was just 420, 430, which sounds a bit, yeah, it sounds like the luxury problem. It's still high numbers per se, but for me, I believe I can at least sit for 2 minute reps at, I don't know, 450, 60 at least. Although I still suck at VO2 max. Trust me, I'm not good at this. I don't enjoy this at all. None of those things. It's not like, oh, I'm just doing what I like to do. I like to do long aerobic exercise. I like to go 6 hours cycling and 3 hours running. That's what I'm good at naturally. So I'm forcing myself, not forcing, I enjoy the challenge. So I do those things that I suck at, literally. I really suck at those. But I will get better at those. And I try to do the things that I get better at. So what I also started doing after the 2 minute efforts, that's a new little bit addition, because I got to be paranoid from a muscular perspective. As I said, the 3rd pillar, the muscular strength. I'm training for events that are at least 90 kilometers on a bike, as you know, half Ironman and full Ironman, right? So from the physiological standpoint, it makes a lot of sense, the VO2 max. But I started adding sub-threshold stuff behind, just for like a bit extra load, and it's, you know, not super hard. It's not threshold. I believe as soon as you do threshold, you either do it like the Norwegians or you don't do it at all. But that threshold debate is a long one. I don't want to go into today, because I have a very specific opinion about that. Not random, I know what I'm doing there, but we can talk about that later if you want, but let's not get lost. So I started adding the sub-threshold stuff afterwards. Then we got day 2, which is an easy swim, high-end run. So there, the session I sometimes take you with there, which is the 600s. As you guys remember, 2-3 months ago, I started with this 305 pace stuff. I still do the same pace, I just went up in distance. I started with 200s, as you remember, some old videos in the snow, built them up to 400s when I felt like I kind of adapting. And I'm always having, when I build those VO2 max things, for the run especially, because on the bike you can almost do whatever you want. You're not going to get injured. On the run, you can almost do whatever you want, but their quality counts. You know, as you know, effort is not the thing in the water that makes you good. Like, quality of stroke is the one that makes you good. So you can't just say, I'm just going to do whatever, smash the times, because that's not necessarily going to make you better. Same in the run. There, the obvious one is orthopedic risk and injury. So you got to be smart with that. How much soreness you feel in the session. And that's kind of the one I kind of determine as the number one, basically. How's the soreness during the session, and afterwards, how's my body coping from the orthopedic standpoint? And then the other one is, yeah, just how out of breath am I? How's the rest ratio, and those kind of things. Went really good, but I started getting a few days afterwards. No, that was that session already. I had first time the carbon shoes, that session. It's just a different sport. Running those things with carbon, it's not even the same sport as with normal. Not just paces, but effort is down by 30%. I'm not even kidding. So before I keep ranting here, let's have a look at the question still. So we got Patrick in the chat here, Wall. Let's go to questions later. More questions. All right. So Next session, long ride. We are on, let's do day 3. So day 2 is basically mainly, as you can see the notes down here, always make notes, so I know what is planned for those days. Day 2 is basically easy swim. The main session is the high-end run, and then I have a gym session as well in the evening where I do quite a bit of lifting. If you want, we can have a look at that because some of you guys asked what I do there. So this is basically a session. I don't know if you guys can do it. So it's a mix of everything I know kind of works for me. For example, let's take an example. Why do I have every single exercise that's in there has a purpose? There's not one exercise I just do for, oh, this is kind of nice to do. I'm very aware of my energy and that goes out. Everything I do has to have a clear purpose. So for example, this is the adductor plank. Why do I have that in? The Copenhagen plank it's called. So it's basically a plank. You put the inside leg on a stepper or a Swiss ball or something like that. And you kind of have the adductor, the inside of the leg is kind of strained. Why do I have that in? I used to do 2 years ago. So since then I do it. It's just 3 times 30 seconds per side. It's not much in terms of time investment, but the gain from that is just ridiculous. For example, I started getting on the inside on the tendon there from hard track running. I got like soreness or like even pain. I had to stop, I think, two days or so running, something like that. So and then I had a look into it. Okay, why is something happening? Same for you. If you have an area that starts to go towards pain or even extreme soreness, as a physio, I can tell you, and any other physio can tell you as well, people like to make it complicated, but let's say, unless there's something structural behind it, 99%, let's say give it 95% of the cases, it's either weakness in the surrounding muscle groups or lack of mobility in the surrounding joints. I promise you, if you check that or get that checked by a professional, you will find something. And don't look for those 1% that's like, oh, my one toe's on this side a little bit this way and this way. It's not those kind of things I'm talking about. I'm talking about the things that like massive impacts. For example, a classic is Achilles. Let's go into the Achilles real briefly. Achilles regions. I had the same actually, and I didn't have Achilles issues, but my calves were just, in the end, super weak. Mobility actually too good. I have pretty loose ankles, which is okay for swimming. But I have quite a bit of mobility, and that means that has to be stabilized, especially when you run track, and especially when a track run in the corner. For the foot and ankle joint, you can imagine what that does to your ankle if it's not stabilized well. So yeah, my calves were weak like hell, and I don't mean the big muscle groups, the gastro, which is like the big calf muscle. It's the other one, actually a deep one in the calf, and that's mostly the issue. Like the real, let's say this is the foot and this is the calf. So the one that's fairly low also behind the Achilles region. There's some muscles there, quite a few. And they have to be strong, very strong. If you do the things you do on the track and really smash it, they have to be very strong. So for example, in my gym session, I always have that in. I call it just calf raises, but it's this calf raise machine where you step in. It's basically like a roller coaster. You put these things on your thigh, some of you knows. And I started at that and I did just with 10 kilos weight. And it almost cramped. And I was like, oh my God, this is so weak. And I thought, oh, I'm so strong. I'm doing squats and stuff. Hilariously weak, hilarious. So trained that up, took me 2-3 months. And now I'm at 35 kilos, which is okay in terms of, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a number in the gym, right? We're not trying to become gym bros, right? That's not the goal here. But the effect of the performance, for example, in running, I do the same thing. I don't get sore anymore in the calves. It used to be I could barely hobble off after a track session. And I thought, it's just, the speed, you push off so much is one factor. Obviously, it's always going to be hamstring calves. It's going to be loaded when you do track sessions. It's just how it works. It's exhilarating and all, but strengthen the weak muscle groups. I do in a 10-day block, 2 times 45 minutes. That's all I do. It takes me an hour, to be honest. So, but I would never take that out. Never. All kinds of other stuff. Got some more questions coming here. Okay, let's go then later here for the questions. Okay, so after the gym and run, we got an aerobic swim. It's an aerobic swim, but it's kind of like higher aerobic paces, let's say. Not full Ironman effort, a touch under, but like high aerobic. And again, there I want to see after each block, basically, the improvement in that session, because this is a session that matters to me. Unless, of course, the takeout speed as a pro has to be high. If your 50-meter time is not somewhere around 28 seconds, you're already behind. So it doesn't matter what your threshold is per se. I feel like there people get lost a lot from the pros. They think, but my threshold is this. They do 40 times 100, and 100 says nothing about if you can hold your biomechanics for, let's say, 400 meters. So threshold or even 70.3 pace is only valid in the pool, I believe, if you can hold it for 200, 300, 400 meters. On the dot the same, that's your threshold. Because in a run the same, you wouldn't say, okay, 10 times 1K, you have to know, you have to also be able to do it for 2K to say it's a threshold, for example. So in the pool, there's that. So here, 200s, I will build those up over time in the next weeks to 300s as well, and even 400s. The main set before the Ironman will be then 10 times 400. I aim to be at the long course meters. My goal is, and I think I'm on track, 117 pace, holding that for the 400s. Maybe it's 118, 117, 18. It has to feel high aerobic. And short turnaround, so 15 seconds rest, and then 10 times 400. And then I know I have the aerobic conditioning for the Ironman swim, but it doesn't mean I'm going to have a good swim. Because if you take out speed, that's why I have another session where I'm drilling 200s VO2 max, basically. Because maybe they stopped before. I've never done a pro race with a high-end caliber. I have done one with a top end swimmer who would swim 21 minutes, so I kind of know what it feels like, what they take out they have, especially from like a deep water start. Yes, all right, so then we got the run. We're almost done here with that thing, and then we go to the questions. We got here the long ride. So I've been doing that basically based off heart rate. Every now and then I did some lactate tests. I'll do lactate more, but those lactate strips are very expensive. So I know heart rates and feel that I know work for me. If I'm super uncertain, of course, I take a lactate check that I'm for sure under aerobic threshold, well under. So they are mostly do 260 to 70 watts. And then I integrated just small steps now at the Ironman race pace goal, which I'm not sure yet where it will be. Depends a bit on what the VO2 max does to me. Between 300 and 320 watts. I hope to go to 320. We'll see with time. I think we can, especially now with saddle and position changes. Should be good. Then we got run off the bike easy. There I'm just literally right now, it's ice, super icy right now here. So it's, the easy stuff are just, if at all, there. But any quality of the bike, for oceanside and those things, I'll for sure do on a treadmill, or hopefully it's melted. By March should be okay, but not before March. So I have another full month of where only the easy run I can do outside, the rest indoors. Then I had the long quality run. I was really happy with that one. That was yesterday. That session is from a good marathon coach I know. And for example, one thing he said is people struggle to hold their race pace in a race, whatever the race pace is in a marathon, Ironman marathon. And people only think about aerobic conditioning of that side. I need to have this aerobic conditioning. Just think about physiology, but it's just only one part. Again, as I talked about the pillars in the beginning, one part is muscular endurance. So a lot of the reasons why, let's say when you do an Ironman and you after 20, you guys that did it after, even a marathon, after 25K, in a pure marathon it's different because there I think the heart rate is so high. But in an Ironman, after 25K, it's not, oh my God, my heart rate is so high, unless you're overheating. Oh my God, my heart rate is so high, I can't go any faster because I'm so out of breath. It's because your legs are falling off. So this is basically, I rotate the long run every 2 weeks. So 1 week I have a zone 1 fat burning long run, super easy, super low heart rate, super key for Ironman, I believe. Still training at fat burning. And then every second week I have a quality run. They had a 4K easy warm-up. I did that on track as well, 20-something K, 21K. So the easy parts I just do by feel. I was still pretty sore, so I'm not pushing the easy. That is just dumb, I believe. But then I had 2K at 10 seconds quicker than race pace. So I aim to have 3:55 minutes per K for the Ironman marathon. That is my goal. So I aimed 10 seconds quicker than race pace. So that is 3:45 pace, 2K of that. And we can have a look at the data even further. I was shocked with that one because I actually ran, this is this one here. So 2K, this is not correct because it doesn't do the distance right, but I was on the track, it was 2K. So 7:19, you can do the math. 7:30 for 2K is 3:45. So it's actually quite a bit quicker. So like more towards 230s high, and it felt like jogging. I had the carbon shoes, but it felt like jogging, and heart rate was 157. My aerobic threshold is 163, and this is supposed to be faster. So yeah, very happy. And then the second one I nailed in terms of the split. So they had a 730 for the 2K, so exactly 345. Then some more easy running. Then the next one was supposed to be 5 seconds slower. We can go back here. 5 seconds slower than race pace. That is this one here, which is then 355 plus 5 seconds is 4 minutes per K, 1K easy, and then again 355, 1K easy. And then tilt time, again, is a muscular stimulus. It's basically like Ronnie Coleman in the end with a gym. 1 mile at 3K pace, but you have to keep your ego at the door. I, for example, noticed I just aim for a solid 8 out of 10 effort, like really try to ramp it up again, the heart rate and the effort. But again, number one risk is orthopedic injury in running, so not pushing that. There, I didn't go towards 3K pace in terms of effort was high, but pace not. Let's have a look. So where I'm supposed to do 4 minutes per K, I slowed down like hell and had 150 heart rate average for 354, which is where it's supposed to be for Ironman, but still it's a bit surreal to me. So then again, 1K easy, 522, just jogging as slow. And then again, the same, I again failed. It's difficult to pace on the track because the GPS isn't fully right, although I have the stride speed. So 353 for that one, 151 heart rate. I never had that in my life. You maybe think, oh, this is something I always see. I do not always see this. This is very good for me. So again, I just only do what I do for myself and how I can prove myself. And that was 1K easy again, 517. Then there was the mile, so 528 for the mile. Somewhere around, I think it's just under 330 pace. So 528 for the mile. And there I got the heart rate up again to 172 max and cadence and everything. And legs were tired, which that was a goal. And then just easy cool down, that was it. Then an easy swim with kick focus. There the pool closed, I had to go a bit earlier. And that was today, active recovery day. And today was active recovery day. And not to be forgotten, I also make a note here, a sauna and a cold plunge. I make a note as well how I feel. That stuff, I mean, Finland, of course, is known for its sauna, but yeah, benefits, it's hard to say exactly, but I can just say, I just go by comfort. Like also when you listen to people when it comes to cold, the specialists like Wim Hof, they just say, don't push it, it's not a training session. So I go in with my body, how my body wants. Sometimes I'm like, especially when the body is fatigued, I'm like, I don't even want to go to the sauna. I don't want heat. But your body just tells you, if you listen to, do you want heat right now? Not like because the session said it. So if you don't want heat, just don't go in. This is an extra stressor. Same as cold. If you're like, I really don't want cold, just don't do it. Because I normally like those two things. So if my body tells me it doesn't want it, there's a reason for that. So yeah, but today I did 2 times sauna. And with sauna, of course, there's this nice heat training benefit. And I do my runs indoors because of the weather, but also because of Texas. I anyways had to, because you can't come from Finland. Although I spent time in Texas before training, but still, it's gonna be, it's not gonna be like Finland, the weather, let's say, Finnish winter. So you gotta adapt a bit. And I just sit in a sauna. I don't have a timer. I just feel like I sit there a lot longer without feeling uncomfortable. As soon as I get uncomfortable, like, but is this not nice? I just get out. That's my 2 cents to sauna and cold. And there's a cold plunge. It's 7 degrees. And again, there, when I started, I took my ego into the cold plunge, like, 3 times 1 minute, 3 times 2 minutes. And this is just a lot of load for the way. It's not smart. So for that kind of stuff, it's not training. I just go by feel. So I just do 15 seconds maybe. When I feel this is uncomfortable, I go out. Yeah, so tomorrow, and then we go to all the questions. Tomorrow we're gonna have the high-end day again. So that's basically 2 more days. So you can see we have the 50s coming up, 20 times 50s. The reasons why I go to 50s, shorter reps versus longer VO2 reps in the beginning is because even with the active recovery day, there will be fatigue now in. So my chance of hitting clean strokes for 100 meters or 75 or 100, let's say, that chance is pretty low. So I want to have high quality strokes, so I'm going to do 50s, get that at that pace in 30 to 32 seconds, 1-to-1 rest ratio, and then afterwards a lot of stuff just to smash the arms. That session I want to come out arms dragging, so I have 2 of those sessions a week where I want to delete my upper body basically. Then I have the aerobic run here. It's just on a treadmill, like a low zone 2 kind of run. Low zone 2, not mid zone 2, because I have heart rate drift because of the treadmill heat quite a bit. So that, and the other side is I wasn't consistent, so not gonna push aerobic paces or easy running, as I said. And then again, high end VO2 max. Again, there I go for shorter reps, so 30-30s and into 12 minutes. So I had 16 minutes on the first day, 12 minutes sub-threshold range, so 330, 340. Right now my threshold is around 360, 370. So there's quite a lot of done to be work. I hope that would be great. I don't know, it's a bit fairy tale thinking maybe, but that 400 range for threshold would be really good. I think there's a lot of adaptations still to come from VO2 max, so maybe I can crack it before April, but I don't know. In the end, need to make sure that I get really good at that Ironman pace. That's the goal, and 70.3, but 70.3 is secondary. Main one is Texas and Kona. So then day 6, day 7 comes after this. So there we got, as you see in the top, easy swim drills and a tempo pace change run. So it's a consistent run set. So again, the muscular pillar is triggered on that side, and lactate clearance per se. I'm going through the high aerobic ranges. As you can see, it's 12K straight, 1K 330 pace, 1K 355 Ironman pace, and 4K at 415. So kind of a good zone 2 pace, but still, you know, not chilling around. And so that body learns kind of to go through lactate ranges and trash my legs. Not trash, but they get sore at the end of the set. And then I shut it down. I have a nice bike fit coming there with Matt Bottrill. And then, yeah, I got day 8 fully off, no nothing. I have an alarm here, no alarm, and calories. That's one thing I messed up before, that I didn't eat enough on the off day. Big mistake, you gotta eat a lot. Mitocare, that is my supplement company when it comes to vitamins, oils, fatty acids, all those things. Then, yeah, active recovery day, so everything easy. Long mobility reset, mobility only, super important for me, and swimming. And then again, day 10, the last day before we drill it again. I didn't make the sessions yet, but I know what I'm gonna do. Aerobic swim, easy bike with some cadence just to activate, and then gym session with some plyometrics. Hot damn, I talked a lot, huh? We're already 30 minutes in. All right, I would say I have to appreciate the guys that wrote first via email. So I have to, let's bounce back to this one. So I have to prioritize the guys that wrote. So let's go through this. And then I have a good look at the chat. Unless we're gonna be here for 3 hours. No, but I'm doing this quick. So number 1 question I got from Letty and Andy, super nice couple, thanks for watching. First question, I wanted to know what micronutrients you are taking. As a woman, I make sure to iron. My husband and I have vitamin D, magnesium, and carnitine. I would be really interested to know what you do. So that one, to speak on that topic, I believe you have to have a specialist to really speak about it. I know some stuff about it, but not so comfortable that I would say, you have to take this and this. The simple answer is, anything when it comes to iron or vitamins, you want to make sure that you know what you're doing. So basically, take a blood test, have a look behind the hood, and are you deficient? So, are you? Yes, okay, then you should take those things. Then I have another story about me personally, not regarding that. When it comes to supplements like that, I mean, I have a long story with that because I actually had heavy metal poisoning for 2 years, which took over 2 years to diagnose, and then I had it for 2 years to get the had to go to a specialist in Munich to get the heavy metal poisons out. And the only reason I got this out, and why I tell this, was highly supplement vitamin and every single vitamin under the sun, fully doped. So basically it was first in my cells, then I went another 3 months later, then it was in the bloodstream. I can actually feel the tingling of the heavy metal poisoning in my nerves. And that's also why I got shingles and all those things together with overtraining, but also from that. And yeah, anyways, I'm now back on it since 3 months. So when I was in high stress environment at work, I never got sick. I trained the house down. I can show you, I still trained 20 hours and I worked 60, 70 hours and my brain was 24/7 about work. I mean 24/7. When I was running, I was thinking about how to develop work. So there was no off switch. And I didn't get sick. So why is that? I look back like, you're getting sick all the time, man. Last year, like 6 times. Yes, a lot of people got sick post-COVID and whatever they say, but like I was like, this is not normal. And then I had to look, what did I do different? And way too late I noticed, okay, I did take supplements. So I take Tensino, it's a Norwegian brand. Me2Care is a German brand. You can have a look at those online. They have really high quality products. And yeah, but have a look at your blood test. But yes, I do take supplements and I do believe it's not, the vegetables don't have the vitamins anymore they have 50, 60, 70 years ago. So, and again, if you train 3 hours a week, it's one thing. But if you train 10, 12, 15, 20 hours a week, you're burning through your vitamin stores like it's nothing. So your demands are a bit different. You can't just say, I'm going to have 100 grams of veggies next to my food and that covers it. That might cover it when you're saying, I do office and then 30-minute run. But if you're a triathlete, you do 3 sports. So demands are a bit different. Secondly, I wondered if you fit in any plyometric specific sessions into your training program and what do they look like? Yes, I do. Recently started integrating it again. It's a bit playing with fire. So because this is an extra load, so all of our sports you have to imagine are kind of explosive. When you push off the wall in a swim, even running anyways, cycling okay, but still it's like a quick explosive movement. So if you then, the first thing you add is again plyometrics, it definitely helps. It's proven in science. It's proven to help your biomechanics, your running speed, efficiency, all those things. It's not really a doubt about that. And I can agree. I really feel much better with it. But if you don't have a strong foundation of your house, that's why I didn't touch it on it recently, and I just do it a little bit gentle because you do get sore from it. I do box jumps. I do single leg side to side hops, and I do single leg jump downs gentle from a box to land eccentrically on the tendon, the knee. But it's a fine line. I do it very gentle because I'm very aware of that. So yes, it helps. But before you start touching plyometrics, do you have at least 6 months, 1 year of proper strength training under your belt? And are you sure that your calves, tendons, knees, hamstrings are strong as hell? Yes, then you can start thinking about that. But if you're always injured and running anyways feels sore after a little, and then next to your 3 runs a week you start to jump as well, that's maybe not the first screw I would personally take. Then we got a question from Daniel here. Pre-warm-up and mobility, active recovery techniques. Pre-warm, yeah, I'm pretty big on that. Some of you guys maybe saw it on YouTube. Pretty big on that. I would say if I didn't have the warm-up routine in the swim, I can say like that, I would 100% not swim like that. Because swimming is, so it's kind of, I puzzle this all together as you see myself, and I have a lot of mentors. They don't know they are my mentors, but they are a lot of people. But then, yeah, pre-swim, I have a 10-15 minute mobility. Key for swimming, if you want to swim well, you have to check with your hips. So if your hips are not open, you're going to be having problems to find a good alignment. So the external rotation of the hip, so kind of the outer glutes you have to stretch, and your quads and your low back has to be cobra good. If those things are not good, say goodbye to alignment and good swimming. I have to reset it almost every day because I'm cycling. If I wouldn't be cycling, probably would be okay. Then Lisbeth asked, 1. Will you use sports gels instead of plain sugar to up your carbs intake per hour? 100% I'll be using for the race Precision Hydration or Morton products. The only reason I take sugar right now, actually it's not the carb intake. I can do 120 grams easily per hour, even over 2 hours with pure sugar. But pure sugar isn't as good as the Morton or Precision Hydration products. And yeah, so there's a lot of other stuff in it, just sugar, and it helps to digest over time. So then 2, do you consider to incorporate altitude Sleeping and training. I've had a good think about that already. In the future, yes, probably. But the thing is, when I'm on altitude, I can't be smashing those VO2 workouts like I do right now. Maybe you can still do them, but they're gonna cost a lot more calories and all those things. But normally you go to altitude, of course, to improve your VO2 max and hemoglobin. But if you're on altitude and then start doing VO2 max training, it's a bad idea. So I am still way too slow. So unless your run threshold is 2:55 to 3 minutes per K, or let's say unless you run under 30 minutes in a 10K, your bike threshold is for, let's say you have 4.2 watts per kilogram or so for the Ironman, and your swim threshold is 110 per meters threshold in a long course. If you don't have that, you are too slow. Doesn't matter if you do 70 meters, but even for full Ironman, you are too slow. You're not going to be there. So I'm too slow. My threshold is 320, unless my threshold is 30. Yes, aerobic is important, obviously, and it's going to take 2 years to build that threshold to 30. But believe me, you're not going to get to a 30 threshold or even 255 unless you run fast. There's a reason why Alistair Brownlee is a very good runner and why he's injured all the time, because he's once a week smashing on the track. All the good runners on the track doing speed work, you're not going to build your speed slowly up to a sub 30 minute 10K. Unless you do speed work, you're just not going to have that speed. So, yes, then Simon, my recovery routines. Do I stretch? I think we went a little bit into that, into the training here. Yes, I do. I used to do a lot more, which it's a fine line when it comes to certain areas. For example, personally, when I start doing my core too much, I actually lose tension in the core, which is not really good, but I do use stretching and mobility a lot to make sure my joints have the full range. Without the full range in swimming and running, cycling not so important. I actually don't underestimate shoulder mobility for the aero position, and that's not good. If your hamstring mobility isn't good, if your low back isn't good, you're not going to be staying in that aero position for 4 hours. So yep, sauna, we talked about that. My sleep routines, do I use an alarm? Yes, that's something I actually changed recently for the better, because before I was like, the more sleep the better, and I just woke up sometimes at 9 o'clock, right? And I thought, I got more sleep, and I did get more hours, but I felt so bad with that biorhythm. So my biorhythm right now is go to bed at 10, not too long now, go to bed at 10, and then get up at 7. 7 o'clock is my time. I just feel so good with it. Even if I'm tired in the morning, I go up to my session, and then, I can still have a nap after that. I feel better with that way than saying, okay, I just sleep 10 hours or whatever. We got a few here. Okay, there's a lot more, but let's do one for psychology I kind of liked here from Corbinian. I hope I didn't butcher your name. I tried to do it well. How do you deal with doubts, and what do you do when you are not sure of something? For example, I'm dealing with pain in my right foot since the start of the year. My doctor still allowed checks but couldn't find anything. So now I'm not sure if I should go, for example, go for my bike, which feels okay compared to walking or running, and I constantly doubt myself in my decisions. I feel a bit lost and don't see a clear path at the moment. What do you do when you have doubts, and do you always know what you have to do or in what way you want to evolve? I've had a long journey with this topic, very long. You have to know about me that I grew up in a society in Germany where it's difficult. The people that look outside the box, it's not how the system works. I didn't get it taught. I had to teach it from myself over time, from books, I basically had to fix myself in that sense. So because there's so much doubt, so much insecurity going around there where I grew up, so it's like you have to find a way to deal with that. So basically what I'm saying is doubts are never good. You're never going to say after you had a lot of doubts, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I had all these doubts. I feel so much better now. Thanks to all these doubts, I had found all these amazing decisions and all these really good things came to me. That's just never how it is. There's one book author who talks about it, who says, sorry, I just read the questions there, who basically said doubt is basically the resistance. So everybody has like this weak, not weak, but like a voice in our head, and he calls it basically resistance. And that is trying to boycott. We all have it in our head, and it's constantly talking to us. And it's one of the voices is doubt. Fear is another one, very clear. And it talks to us, and it wants to derail us. And that voice you have to ignore. So you have to stop it at the root. So there's no benefit in doubt. You're wasting your time. So as soon as you hear doubt come, you have to immediately stop it. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be, I get a death sentence tomorrow. Okay, I have 3 days to live. There is literally no benefit. You're just wasting more time. So whatever it is, with doubt and fear, it doesn't exist. It's in the future. And even if it's reasonable, it's not going to help you. It's just going to make it worse. So either you're going to start listening into that spiral and go down that spiral and doubt, and it's not getting better. It's not like you're going through that spiral and you're coming out of it. You're like, oh my God, I got it now. It doesn't work like that with doubt and fear. It's just a penetrating force, and it tries to pull you down. So that voice, whatever you got going on, everybody has stuff going on in their life. I had a lot going on last year as well, family health-wise, and that voice is just useless. You have to ignore it, push it away. As soon as it comes at the root, right away, no matter what it comes. So sometimes, of course, I have moments especially when fatigue kicks in, you're very tired, then the only one that hears those doubts, it's not overarching doubts like, oh, I wish I'm going to make it in triathlon. Not those kind of doubts. I don't have those. It's more like I'm frustrated about my progress. Typical triathlete stuff. Everybody has it, and everybody says that doesn't have those thoughts is lying. So everybody has them, but it's more the question, what do you do with those? So even when I speak it out, then to my wife, for example, even when the words came out, I'm really ashamed of myself. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And you have to take it back because I'm just way aware of every word, and you have to be aware of the talk you have in your own brain, right? So yeah, you want to talk to yourself like your best friend, like your best cheerleader at all times. It doesn't matter what you have going on. You have to talk yourself to positive no matter how shitty the situation is. That's my 2 cents. All right, let's do the last question, then we go to that, and then we're going to stop it. My second question is maybe a bit stupid, but why do you train in Finland? I know lots of pro athletes in the north try to go to the south to have better training conditions, but you do it basically the opposite. Not wrong. Yes, so I lived for 10 years in Switzerland before. It's very beautiful. I had my job there and everything. And back then we made the decision together with my wife to move to Finland. She's Finnish. That's, of course, one part of it. She wanted to come back. But I also have been visiting Finland for many summers, many winters. And I loved everything about it. The calm vibes, the nature. The winter time is, of course, challenging in terms of it's just not optimal for running per se. Obviously, you can run outside. That's a big one. You can ride outside. The positives, again, from that, you have to see positive of everything. In the future, I will have camps in the summertime, but just more like 2-3 weeks. Because the thing is, yes, it sucks to do everything on a trainer. It's right there. But again, for consistency, when you think like that, mentally, okay, maybe not as nice as riding in Spain in the sunshine. But when you think consistency and training effect, it's actually better. So if I ride now suddenly, let's say I live in Spain right now, I'm going to be out on the road 4 or 5 times a week, just because it's always sunny, it's always nice. And what do you think? What happens to the percentage in increase in risk of crashing, or even just, forgetting to click in and boom, elbow broken? So that thing happens all the time. It's part of it. I know when I'm on the road, it's part of it. I know when I'm going out to my bike. That's why I put all those clothes on in bright and colors. So I know I had a bad accident before where I could have died for sure. So I'm very aware of that once I go out, I could just not come back. So I'm aware of that. So if I can limit that chance right now, that's totally okay. Man, okay. I think I'm going to leave at this. Then we got a few more here. All right. So let's go from the beginning. Any tips? Wall 7898. Any tips for preventing shin splints or treating them when it already happened? There's a couple of things as an athlete you don't want to have, and that is probably number one is Achilles and shin splints. So if that area, just all the others, if that area is really getting sore, even to pain, don't even think about running for at least a week, please, and go to a physio, go to a massage therapist, one of the two, and really massage the stuff out. So when it already happened, shin splints, of course you have to determine a bit how bad is it. So you can have some screens on that with a doctor, of course. You need to have a look how bad it is, because what it basically is that the tissue of the front of your leg, there are two types of shin splints actually, inside, outside. So you have to determine a bit with shin splints, how bad is it? So you can't just say, okay, I tell you to do X, Y, and Z, and then it's going to be it. You have to know what's going on, because eventually, if you go further and further, stress fractures develop, maybe even. So first you got to know what's going on, and then you got to treat it. One big thing is, of course, and that's going to hurt like hell, I promise you, and that you have to do. Because basically what happens is that the fascia and the tissue of the muscle gets so stiff through, again, most likely it's weakness, to be honest, again, I'm sorry, but one of the muscle groups, either the front that lifts the foot or the back, which is the calf muscles, one of them will be too weak, 100%, and couldn't take the load that you put on it. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's very likely going to be the case. Running shoes can also be the thing, but it's mostly load, as we know. And then, treating, someone's got to torture you a few times in terms of pushing manually the fascia away from the bone. So you're basically breaking by force the tissue away. And I say take a pain medication before, because that's going to be a straight up 9 out of 10 pain for you coming up. But that you got to do if you want to get it away. So good massage therapist is going to help. You can do that right away. Get a massage therapist. That's very good. And that person has to torture you. Even if you have something in the bone, it's going to be fine, because that person is not going to break your bones. Then Dylan asked, after 3 solid weeks, should I do intensity in a recovery week? I don't even know what to say about that, because you just said you did a recovery week. Why do you talk about intensity in a recovery week? No, don't do that. Please don't. No, you had 3 solid weeks, man. You didn't get sick. You didn't get anything. You had 3 solid weeks. You want to bank those weeks. That's what I do. Instead of doing 3 weeks, 1 week, I do it every 10 days. I reset completely. So no, you don't want to do anything there. Nothing. Chill, go for walks, do something else. I know you feel like smashing, but that's probably a good sign, Dylan. That means you're recovering. Because it could also be that in the last week you're like super dead and getting sick or something. So it's a good sign if you want to do intensity, but definitely don't. Okay, there we go. Then, any advice for training indoor for a long period of time? Are you talking to the right guy there? Triathlon. We are on month 4 of straight up indoor training. Cycling only indoors. So what is the advice for that? The advice is you need a good iPad with a lot of good stuff to watch. I don't have Swift right now. But the main thing is, jokes aside, you gotta know why you're doing it, why you're stepping on the bike. Yes, you're gonna get the hormones and the feeling of joy when you cycle, but I can promise you, I have the same when I'm sometimes here, the 3rd session of the day, I'm gonna have it tomorrow. By the time the 3rd session comes around, which is 5:30, 6 p.m., it's dark, you're getting sleepy. It doesn't feel like fun to torture yourself in a room. So you have to know why you're doing it. So your goals, your races you sign up to, something I very frequently do is then go to that place, and going visually to that place or emotionally, you can just put the stream on, right? So I put the stream on the thing, put some nice beats on. I can recommend some nice Avicii live concerts. Wow, there are some good ones there. They always get me going. There we go. Then we have do you need to swim in zone 2 for better results? That is of course a very general question, but when you think in swimming, it's not the same. Again, swimming, the number 1 reason why you swim better is not your cardiovascular fitness. It's biomechanics, or whatever you want to call it, stroke mechanics. It's only that. So people get confused with swimming, that when you get out of breath really well, which applies to cycling and running, you're going to get better if you recover, but the swimming doesn't apply. It doesn't mean anything. That's why people who, even pros, have been trying for several years, they still don't do well, although they swim 6K a day. So it's not just volume and those things. So you need to, for swimming, if you want to improve, you have to always remember number 1, which is biomechanics and stroke mechanics. Then comes a long break. and then eventually comes muscular fatigue, and then maybe being out of breath and all those things. But they are way farther down the line. So, yeah, swimming is tricky. Do you use VLMX as a tool to plan your training? From Kati, VLMX is basically the one, just for the other ones heads up, it's a glycolytic power, which basically means how good your glycolytic system works. That wasn't very smart to explain, was it? But the one, it's a bit butchering the term, but I like to explain it to that, which is not right physiology-wise, I know, but it's basically relevant for your fat burning. So if your VLMX, of course everybody talks about VO2 max, that has to be high, as high as possible, but actually not as high as possible. There's a sweet spot when it comes to Ironman. But your VLMX is super important for endurance events. So VLMX is basically, not really, but it's easier to explain this way, your fat burning. So that fat burning, basically VLMX has to be low as possible to be good for Ironman. So basically it says how much glycolytic power, so how much glucose can you basically pump out and create power. So if you're a sprint athlete, Usain Bolt, whoever, you want that thing to be high, as high glycolytic power as humanly possible. But you imagine when you're doing Ironman and you have a long event, if you're like a 2-minute hero, you're gonna pump all your glycogen out in 2 hours, and in 4 hours later you're dead. So that's why you have to train your VLMX. And yes, I use it for my training. Kalam asked, when will you finally join the good side of the force and switch to ultramarathon trail running? Ah, yes, I will for sure. Once I'm 41, 42, this thing is retired, I'm going to be lifting iron 3 times a week, and I'm going to be running ultra running. I'm going to do that afterwards. Pretty sure. Or go back to martial arts. I'm not sure yet. But I love running too much, and especially trail running. So, but I know once you start, you can't go back. So, going to do all those cool things, bad water and all those things. I want to do them all. So, shin splints, we had some other. How do you define, Matto asked, how do you define your LT1? What is your lactate at that point? So LT1 is basically, not basically, it's your lactate threshold. 1 is your aerobic threshold. So it's basically, you have 2 thresholds. When you talk about threshold, you have LT1, it's your aerobic threshold, and then you have your anaerobic threshold. Anaerobic threshold is the one you feel when you suddenly start to increase in the graph a lot more lactate. You feel it as well. Running a 10K pace, you're kind of just around that sweet spot that you can maintain for 10K. LT1 is really relevant for training, for especially long distance training, kind of knowing that range and that wattage. That's why they say for easy and aerobic rides, if you do those too hard, you're basically probably training over your LT1. So you're training too hard to get the benefit of real aerobic training, and too slow to do any hard stuff. It just makes you tired. LT1 aerobic threshold is said to be around 2 mol plus minus. It depends. You have to measure it in a lab. But I know when I'm under 2, I'm Gucci. That's for me. Corbinia asked with the psychology, the book. Yes, I do. I know you wrote me an email. I'm going to email you the book. It's a very good book. Lots of books about psychology, but that book really clicked with me. He has a few of those. You should read them all. I'm a big reader. What do you suggest to do when we have posterior tibialis tendinitis? Keep the frequency of running, keeping intensity. Should I put ice on it? Anti-inflammatory cream? Please help if you have experience. That is a classical runner right there. Naim, you are the #1 runner because you just said you have posterior tibial tendinitis and you talk about doing intensity. I already know what your problem is. So, Naim, you need to rest. I'm sorry, but you need to rest. So, I assume from this little text you have been keeping training and trying to do everything. Icing, of course, helps. And if you're 3 days out from the Olympics, you just do everything to get you keeping running. But I assume right now you're not in prime season because it's the 1st of February. So yes, all those things work. Ice, anti-inflammatory, everything very cute, but you need to rest. You need to get that thing away. And for tendons, the very first load you should do. The thing with tendons is it's not stopping at rest per se. Tendons need load to heal. So no matter which tendon it is, if it's a shoulder or Achilles, it needs load to heal. Yes, you have, let's say, maximum 5, 6, 7 day period where you completely rest, shut down. Depends how chronic that thing is. If it's been there for 3, 6, 7 months, if you've just been ignoring it, maybe you need one of those little injections to get it going again. That would be worst case, but before you do that, please don't. So first reset and then go through a healing process. And the first healing process is definitely not running. That's an explosive contraction. That is no bueno for a tendon. So the first load you want to do for a tendon is static load. That is one-on-one physio, at least in Netherlands and Australia. So static load means, for example, in your case, just probably in sitting, whatever is pain-free, not pain-free, until 3 out of 10 pain you can go actually. So you basically do, if these are your feet, just sitting like that, 10-second hold, and maybe 10 times 10 seconds. Just a static load and sitting. If you feel like sitting, you don't feel any pain, great news. You can do it in standing, both feet. Progress from there eventually. Each day, do it twice a day, 10 times 10 seconds. Obviously, that's a very broad thing to say right now. I have no idea which stage you are, so probably best to shut up. But yeah, static load, and definitely don't do intensity when you got this. I bought a massage run and a Lacrosse ball also for my shin splints on top of physio. Very good. Lacrosse ball is really good for shin splints. Hurts like hell, but that's one way how to get rid of the tension. But again, some people, and I had the same, you kind of stretch as much as you can, and you stretch and stretch and stretch. You have to know why that muscle keeps tensing up. And the high chance why you always have to stretch is because one of the muscle groups is weak. So you need to find what is weak and which joint is lacking mobility before you start stretching and go to massage 5 times a week. So, because if that muscle group is actually a build-up in strength, it will stop cramping up. You don't have to stretch anymore. Fun fact. Well, not always have to stretch. How do you know you're ready to start training again after being sick? Just recovering from the flu as we speak and want to get back to training but don't want to jump the gun. From AJ. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know how much data you got, AJ. So resting heart rate is a good one, but normally, to be honest, your body will tell you. A very good one is it kind of gives the state of your hormonal system when it comes to that, when you feel like training. And training, if you don't feel like training, which most likely the case when you're sick, it's basically a sign of your body and your hormones to tell you, hey dude, you should rest. So let's say you're going back into it. And in the beginning, for example, a very safe thing to do is go for a walk. I find walking by far the best, better than easy spinning cycling. Even that I feel has more, and swimming anyways, and running anyways, not running is last. So go for a walk, half an hour walk. How's your energy after that walk? Because if you're really ready to train, after 25 minutes, or you should come back energized from that walk and feel like, oh my God, I feel like I'm exploding with energy. I wish I could go running now. But good chance is that 30 minutes run is gonna make you tired. And then you know, oh, all right, okay, my body right now, this type of load is enough. So it's no magic for getting back from sickness. It takes time, it sucks. I hope you get better soon, mate. All right, Raymond. I started this year with swimming. In May, I want to try my first Ironman 70.3. I can't hardly swim without pull buoy. Is this an issue? Why wetsuit? Which wetsuit I should float enough? Raymond, no problem. I know someone who did his first Ironman a year after not being able to swim 50 meters. So he trained with a swim coach, not like 6 times a week, but 2-3 times a week. And he did the full Ironman. So you can for sure do it. You can swim only with a pull buoy. Most likely that race you're doing, most likely is going to be with a wetsuit. So you're going to be having a lot of help with that. So yeah, keep practicing. Swim with a pull buoy. In the beginning, it's all about alignment. So if you feel like your stroke is basically complete garbage without that pull buoy, makes very little sense to put that pull buoy away. So swim whatever tools that help you. But I would, any day of the week, recommend neoprene pants over a pull buoy. Something I learned way too late, because when you stick the pull buoy in, what happens is, and I had to learn it, that's one reason why I swim better now, because I put that thing away. Because what it does is, yes, it helps the core, it helps you to rotate, alignment, and that's all true and dandy. But the thing is, unless you're a swimmer who has that kick timing naturally, you're literally detraining that. So put that pull buoy away, even in a wetsuit, you have no kick timing, you have no awareness of your core, no nothing. So anybody who wants to improve, get neoprene pants. You still have the nice buoyancy, you can still pop it in when you want to have an easy swim, when you have tired legs from the bike and run, but you still can at least be aware of this gentle kick timing. We are already on for an hour here. Holy moly. Okay, so we got a lot more questions going in, but I think we're just going through the last few and then we're going to call it quits for the day. We can do the rest on the next time. What do we got next? Mika, are you using the Norwegian method? Norwegian method? No, I'm not using the Norwegian method because Norwegian method is doing high volume with lactate control of intensity and most likely more threshold training. But I actually had a good listen to a lot of things. For example, that's I think the first podcast I heard where I didn't disagree personally to anything the coach said. For example, the head coach for the Norwegians, the new podcast he has, Norwegian method. Everything he said I agree with and I actually do. So it was pretty funny to see on that regard. That's my 2 cents on that. Except this double threshold stuff, because that's a bit different story. Between my 70.3 and long distance, my second is summer days, only 7 weeks. How many long rides over 4 hours would you include before 70.3? After my plan is to go 5 long rides enough. A little background story. I know, for example, depends a bit on your background, how much endurance you have and all, but I know, for example, Daniela Reef is an example. I think she had 1 5-hour ride before she broke this Ironman bike course record in Ironman Frankfurt. And she just did like 3-hour type stuff, but very solid quality work. So she did quality over quantity and did really well. So depends a bit on physiology. Again, you would have to know right now, what is your VO2 max, VLA max like? What is that state looking behind the hood max? And then you would know, but you can have a look, very simple. For example, do a 4-hour ride. If you start to get dizzy after 3 hours, okay, you know your endurance is probably an issue, so you should do more of it. If you feel like 4 hours is so easy, you have no issues, and your legs are fine, you're fresh and dandy, hydration is good, sport nutrition is good, everything was on point, you have no issues, then you maybe know, okay, you're not getting so much adaptation out of that. Maybe a 2.5-hour really hard ride with quality threshold efforts, low gear type stuff would benefit you more. Okay. Dakila asked, Matti, any suggestions for fat loss? Yes, for sure. Movement is probably number one, because diets are tricky. Diets require a lot of discipline, a lot more than movement. Find something you enjoy, any kind of, doesn't have to be sport, but find something that you enjoy and you like. If you're overweight, the thing is, I've never been overweight like that, but what I heard from people and that I helped with that is basically your hormones are shot, right? So when us normal people do exercise, after 1 or 2, even after sickness, you know, a little bit, but after 1 or 2 sessions, you get a proper hormone kick out of it. If you've been overweight for a while, your hormones are shot. So you will do 4 weeks of exercise and you will feel nothing. You will dread it and will be miserable. So you have to stick through that until you feel the joy or something coming. It's basically a decision you have to make, but I can highly recommend for you, Dakila, to listen to the latest podcast of David Goggins on the Huberman podcast. He talks about that, very inspiring. He has been highly overweight and he's gone through it. It's mainly a mental challenge. It's very difficult, so I wish you all the best and I know you can do it. Okay. PTO T100 versus Ironman World Series. There is actually pretty funny because there I had the T100 when I first saw all the big pros jump on that. I was first a bit disappointed, but I judged a bit too quick because I read one comment and it changed my mind. At first I thought they all jumped on it because of the $7 million prize purse. That was a bit too quickly judged. That was unfair in my brain. I didn't talk with anybody about it except you know, but some of course got lured in by the paycheck, which I was a bit disappointed because I thought a lot of them said, oh, my dream is to do Kona and all those, and then they kind of boycott their own dreams and do the half distance. But then I saw a comment that changed my mind completely about the T100 series from the PTO. It's a new series that they're doing. It's going to be the biggest triathlon event. So it's basically that triathlon is growing significantly through the PTO. If that series, or like if PTO is not doing well and maybe going away again in 1 or 2 years, the sport is going backwards. PTO's biggest shot for the sport to make it mainstream, to bring it to people, that it becomes maybe a sport like football or anything like else eventually. So that sport, to grow that sport, and I think that's one of the big motivations next to the cash, of course, big paychecks for the pros. But it's going to be an amazing series to watch, and once I'm fast enough, I'm happy to join, but I will never let that, again, unless I have a 2 sub 30 minute 10K, I'm probably hurting my image to go there. So that's one. And again, my main passion is Kona and Ironman. So that's always going to be number one. Yeah. I think we're coming towards the end here, guys. All right. Hi, it's been a long stream. I didn't think it would be that long, but I've been enjoying it. I hope you guys learned something, had fun, and let's make it a nice Dimmy, are you natural? Dimmy, I know what you're doing here. Yes, I'm very natural. Ah, nice one. That's a friend of mine. He's trying to mess with me. Good stuff. Okay, hey, I think we're gonna end it here. I hope you guys are well. Have a powerful evening. Gonna hop to bed pretty soon. Tomorrow, quality day for you guys. I lost track of time. Friday tomorrow for the Central European guys at least. So you got a nice weekend coming. Enjoy your training and chat soon. Bye.